Hello students, this is Dr. Deb Watry, just giving you some additional information for this moving into week 3 to make sure that we're all on the same page and I can give you some feedback and prepare you for the work ahead. So the announcements that I want to cover is first of all to go over your first discussion, and I was very pleased with your participation this past week. I thought that many of you gave very thoughtful suggestions and ideas for the other students in the course. Some things I can ask you to do is to be a little bit more active in your participation. Some of you did a very great job. It doesn't mean just go in there once and make a couple of 1 or 2 comments. Please be active in working with the other students. Your thoughts and ideas are very helpful. Talking about your critiques and bibliographies, I thought they were very nice work. I was very, very pleased with them. They were very well done, and I think they provided good resources for your topics. I would suggest some type of note-taking, a method or a process as you take a look at your other resources. And in an earlier announcement, I said you should try to gain about 12 to 15 resources. Some you will use and some you'll find that you won't need in your paper, but you do need to have 10 or more resources if you've taken a look at some of the sample thesis papers. I'd like to talk a little bit about a reference review. I know in their critiques I did send some comments about some of the things I want you to pay attention to, and you should be listing your resources now, your references, as you're writing your parts to your thesis. First of all, I'll point out the red areas, this right here. There is a comma, a period, and a comma that goes between the authors. A lot of you are writing out the full names of the authors. You only write the last name and then their initials. When you get to the last author, you're going to use the symbol, the and symbol. And then, of course, the year that the article was published or the research. Your titles. When you're dealing with titles, you only capitalize the first letter of a title, and the rest of the title is done in lowercase letters. Now, I took someone's resource and I just adjusted a little bit to show you that many of your resources use that colon. And so only then the first word after the colon gets capitalized. This is not italicized. What is italicized is the journal that it's out of. So the Journal of Educational Psychology was the resource that gets italicized. This right here is the number, volume number, and the issue number. Notice this is still italicized as the journal is. Still italicized. You do not write PP for page. You just put the numbers in, and that is not italicized. For a number of you, I've try to put in that DOI. Okay, and so this does not get all capitalized, and you put in that number, so you need to make sure that if you have a DOI that you do use it. There, in this reference, there is no period at the end of that DOI. So this is just some information about the APA style. That DOI is called a Digital Object Identifier, and you should use that as opposed to a URL. If there is no DOI, you use the URL of the journal homepage, not the website that you got the journal from. The URL of the journal homepage, and this would be an example, right down here, title of the journal, volume number, page number, and so on, and you'd write retrieve from. And now this is just the journal homepage. You'd go in there and copy that. So I do have a resource out there for additional resources for you that talks about using that DOI and gives you a couple of examples. This is a busy week of writing for you. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about what's happening this week. So it's a lot of preparation and a lot of writing here. Okay, I do want you to pay attention to the week 3 resources, what have been put in there. I suggest that you start early, not wait till Thursday or Friday and decide that, oh, I better work on the class information now, because there is a lot of information. Week 3 resources, Chapter 5, very valuable. All of these chapters now in Buoy and how to write that introduction, the literature review, the methodology. So check out those resources for the week, not the additional ones, it's the weekly resources. It's chapter 5, there's an article by Newman and Kovig article. There's a PowerPoint on chapter 1, and there's 2 videos that I watched yesterday that I think will be very valuable. One on your research problem and purpose statement, and another video on developing that research question. So you're going to be writing a draft. Notice this is a draft. In any type of writing, you probably will be doing some revision. Your introduction, chapter 1, is about 8 pages long. That's an approximation. This will tell you how long each part should be approximately. I want you to start to provide a list of the references at the end of your introduction, and do follow that APA format. Chapter 10 in Boy also provides ideas for APA format, but you can also go to the Purdue OWL resource and find out how you need to do a reference. Also in the BWI-TEX Appendix E and F are samples of an introduction and purpose statement, so you can take a look at that. I've already asked you several times to take a look at the sample master thesis examples to get an idea of what does a whole introduction look like, or a whole master thesis, so you may want to continue to do that. In this week, there's a template for doing that thesis paper, and this is the template they're going to start developing your introduction in. So you don't have to go back and try to put it in there. So pull up the template, and hopefully if it's not in a Word document, you follow the directions for the template for that. So this is your work for this week. It is a lot of work, a lot of involvement. The text, chapter 5, talks about having an organizational plan and developing it into 3 focused areas. So chapter 1 and 2 will follow this same format. So that's why chapter 5 is a very valuable chapter to read. It gives you that organizational format. I do have some additional resources for you that I put in this week. So it's right at the end of week 3. The DOI document talks about how do you use it, what should it look like on the paper. Some of you are working with minors in your research, and this resource is from UW-Madison, and in there you'll find out that not only do you have to get parent permission, you also have to format some type of a survey to get the permission of the students. So you'd want to gear it towards their language capacity. So do take a look at that resource for you, because our IRB, we do have to have those permission letters submitted when we put in our IRB. In our discussion for week 3, they ask a question about what kind of method are you going to use. So really, method approach is in week 5. Sorry, not chapter 5, but it's in week 5. But this was just a real quick review and some visuals about what is qualitative, what is quantitative, so that you can participate in the discussion and give you some real quick ideas of what kind of organization method would you use for your research. So the last thing I have for you is, please don't hesitate if you have questions to send me an email. I try to take a look at the email every day and try to get back to you as soon as I can, so that you're not sitting out there wondering what's my next step. So I am appreciating all of the good work that you're doing. I've enjoyed reading your style of writing and what you're writing, so you're all on a good track, so just keep up the good work. Thanks for another nice week.